Hello, today I want to talk about a quick hack that you can do that can put you ahead of your competitors. It is something that I see major brands not doing or not knowing about, and so I just wanted to show you too because it's very, very simple to do this. And I'm talking about dark mode. So if you look at this email here, it's text-based, so we have HTML, and then at the bottom here, this is obviously an image. So what happens if we go into dark mode? If there's a white background on this image, you can't see the difference here, right? But if we go into our, if we have dark mode enabled on our phone, this is what it's going to look like. So the text is going to, the text is going to become white, the background is going to become dark. That's not a big surprise. But as we scroll down, we can see here this ugly white background, which was fine on the light mode, but it's not so fine at all on the dark mode, right? So how do we fix that? It's super simple, and a ton of brands don't do it, and that's just because they don't go through the step of thinking about their design in a way that it's going to look different on different devices and in different modes. So this is just the main effort is just thinking about this and being like, oh, we need to plan for this. So once you know what it is, we can just very easily fix it. I'm just going to try to do this in 3 steps. So step 1 is finding the image. In Klaviyo, this is a little bit trickier than it needs to be, but basically what you want to do is just take the name of this image, and then you want to go into your images and brand in Klaviyo. I've already opened this here, and you can just paste that name. Actually, I'm not. Well, you just look it up by name. You can't just open it directly, but then once you have the name, you just hit this, and now you have your image. You can download it. I'm just going to drag it. And then you can use Photopea if you don't have Photoshop. Removing the background is super simple. You either hit this little wand icon here, or you hit W, and that's going to do the same thing. And it's just going to, then you select the color that you want to remove, so white, and you can see it selects everything around my white. You might need to play with the tolerance setting here if you have an image that's not black and white. Like, this is super easy for Photopea to understand what I'm trying to do. So now the background is gone. Let's think about this. Let's plan it, right? So this was step 2, remove the background. Step 3, let's make it 4 steps. Step 3 is adding an outer glow, because you don't want this to just disappear into the background and this being a slightly lighter shade of dark than the rest of the email. It's going to look a little bit confusing and maybe a little bit different than what you want to be. So we just want to add an outer glow here. So what we want to do for an outer glow, and it's very simple. I'm not an expert with this. So blending options, I'm not an expert with Photoshop, so if I can do it, it should be accessible to most people. I'm just going to put this over the ads, and then we can put an outer glow here around our image. So the only issue is now we can't really see what it looks like because we have this white background. So temporarily we can just add a rectangle like that, and you can look it up if you don't know how to do that. It's very simple, and we're going to remove this in a second, right? But for now we can see what the outer glow looks like. This is probably not what we're looking for, so we just want to have a look at that outer glow and make sure that it's what we're trying to do, and change the color, make the styling a little bit different. I'm just going to skip over this so the video doesn't become too long. Okay, so what you want to do is just slide these 3 sliders, spread, size, and range around. So I'm kind of doing this as what I feel looks good is maybe something that's not too visible, but that's kind of around it. You might want to do something completely different where it's much wider around this area, but this is a footer thing, so I don't want it to take up too much space. So I'm just gonna really just enhance the corners around here. So that's kind of what I want it to be. Actually, this is not too bad for this purpose, just because this is all we want to do, right? If you have a logo, you might want to do this differently, but you have these 3 sliders, you can slide them around at your leisure. And then we remove this again. As you can see, obviously we can't see the outer glow, but it's here now. So that was step 3, is adding the outer glow. Step 4 is just putting it back into the email. So I'm just going to save this and upload it into my email, and I'm going to send another test, and I'll show you what it looks like compared to before. Oh, and one very important thing, obviously, if you once you save this, save it as a PNG. So I use JPEGs a lot when I work with image-only emails because they're lighter than PNGs, but obviously PNGs are the only format that allows a transparent background as far as I know. So we can't use a JPEG for this. We have to use a PNG. And then we'll just replace it in our email. And now, you can see it doesn't really make a difference at all here, but we can see, I don't know if you were looking at this before, but you can see that there's no more background around here, right? You can see on this preview. So I have this as a template, so I have to publish it across all templates, but that's kind of what I want to do. So then we're gonna send a preview, and I'll show you in a second what it looks like. So just as a reminder, this is the before image. This is what it looks like before. And then this is after. So now you can see this looks much better, much cleaner. There's no weird feeling of, oh, this is cut off somehow, I think this is an important detail because it shows, that the brand is caring about its perception, and it's just a very, very simple way of making an email look so much nicer. I mean, if you look at this compared to before, I'm just going back and forth because it's so nice to see how 5 minutes of work can make this nice. And as you can see, I use the reusable template for these. So if you have something like that, you can make changes like this across all of your emails. And I would definitely recommend, no matter what you're doing regarding to this, you should always have, your footer as a reusable template, because then you can make changes like that. In 5 minutes, I've just updated every single email in the entire account, and they all look nicer now with this. So we've and then you might want to do the same thing with your logo. That's a candidate where things often happen, where either the logo is on a transparent background and you can't see it, or the logo is on with a white field around it that looks very ugly. So you want to just make sure that doesn't happen. But the logo is not the only one. Typically little icons like this, social icons, a lot, all the time I'm seeing social icons with tiny little white things around them, just because the brand wanted to use custom social icons. And it's great to want to have that additional branding, but it doesn't really work if then the additional branding doesn't look nice on dark mode. Then you might as well stick with the default options that are going to be adjustable. So that's one thing that I want to recommend is it's very easy to fix those things, because you're just removing a background and adding an outer glow, and that's really, really simple. As you can see, I just did it in 5 minutes. So I hope this helped. I hope this will help you keep your emails looking nice on dark mode. Honestly, this is probably the #1 thing that you can do to make to take your emails from looking weird to looking amazing with minimal effort, right? If we're looking at the 80-20 rule, this is the 80%. Everything else in dark mode, you can talk about lots of things. We could talk about this color and go obsess over making this color, like hard coding a preference into the HTML template of this email to make this color dark green like here, which by the way we're doing. But if you want to get 80% of the results with 20% of the work, this is where you need to be. These backgrounds are so easy to fix, and they make such a big difference. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions or tips on how to remove the backgrounds better with Photopea, I'm not an expert again, but leave a comment, and thank you for watching.